Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the podcast. Hope you guys' weekend was good. I know mine was pretty good. I finally let myself relax because I've been working pretty hard, and it's weird because I never really have gotten off schedule or gotten off routine in the past month, around a month, I would say. So I finally let myself stay up late. I played Fortnite with some of the boys. It's been so long since I played any video games, but we played Fortnite last night, and it was actually fun. So, we're out here. You can call it cringe, but I think I'm just going to start playing Fortnite now. Anyways, I don't know. The game's fun now, okay? It's been a while. But there are a few things I want to talk about that I kind of went through in the past few weeks that I was hey, I'm going to write these down and just talk about them in the pod. Because I feel above anything, the pod is a check-in. I don't know if you guys think of it like that, but for me, it's definitely like that. It's a kind of checkpoint to basically just see how I'm doing first and just kind of speak my mind. And it's interesting. I wonder if subconsciously anyone out there kind of times up their weekly check-ins with the podcast. You see, oh, there's another voice memo. Oh, let me check in. I wonder how I'm doing. Anyways, in the past few weeks, I've kind of been very busy, right? Because I was working on the Hawaii YouTube video. If you guys haven't seen that yet, go check it out. Wholesome Simon on YouTube. Anyways, I've been working pretty hard. And the thing is, when I came back home from Hawaii, there were a few things I had to work on, one was obviously the video. And the other thing was I need to find a roommate for my next year, and I wanted to meet more people at the university I'm going back to. And so I came back home. I started DMing a lot of people on Instagram, trying to meet up with a lot of people. And it was fun at first. I went out, I met a few people that go to the university, and we had some good conversations. But I feel I came across a problem here that kind of hit me recently, which is saying yes to too many things or putting too much on your plate. And I definitely did it because right now there are a lot of people I should be talking to or getting back to. There's some people I should call, and there's just some emails I have to respond. There's so much going on. And I guess it was kind of a reminder to me that I do have to be mindful about these things. You know what I mean? It's like those instances where you want to get to know someone better, but you're super busy and you can't really respond as much and you feel like a bad friend. But recently I've been trying to balance that, and it's been really difficult. So I've been it's weird because it's not even I don't have time to talk to these people and really grow deeper in these relationships. It's just that my mental space is so clogged up right now with different things I'm thinking about that I don't even have the energy to send a text or make that call. It's so weird. And in a way, I kind of beat myself up about it because I'm is this make sense? I actually have time. I'm laying down right now watching YouTube or something. And then I'm telling myself I don't have time to get back to these people, or don't have time to pursue these relationships, or don't have time to do other things. So, I mean, that's basically what I've been going through the past few weeks. And I think it gave me a good kind of wake up call, or kind of taught me a lesson that is, you need to give yourself some space. Okay? If you're listening to this, you need to give yourself some space. You should have some time within the day that is just sacred time for yourself. Whether that's going for a walk, or going to the gym, or building Legos, or watching your favorite YouTuber, listening to your favorite podcast. Give yourself time that is sacred to yourself, at least 30 minutes a day, where you do things for you. You're not doing things for work. You're not doing things for anything else. You're not doing things for school. You're only doing things for you. And I feel that is so, so, so important, is to have this time where you're by yourself. You're just doing something that you genuinely like. You're not worrying about how productive you're being, is to leave space within the day to just intentionally do those things. And I do think it's important to be intentional with doing things for yourself, because it's one thing to be working on homework, then procrastinate and go on your phone or watch a movie or something. And it's another thing to like not have homework or finish that homework, or before you do your homework, just be like, hey, I'm going to block out like an hour of time to do something for myself. It's a bit different there. And I think that's something I learned to value a little more in the last few weeks, because boy, I was very busy. The schedule was packed and I wasn't finding as much time to do things just for myself. They were all just kind of distractions. And I feel like this also like ties in with another thing, another lesson I learned in the past 2 weeks, which is to like leave space for inspiration, to like make sure that you're consuming some media or consuming some art or creative work, because that's important too. And to not just constantly work on getting the podcast clips up or making this podcast, making this video, because a lot of what we create is based off of what we consume. And like, I realized I hadn't been watching enough YouTube, which is like weird, but I guess that's part of what I do and it's very important. So if you're like a creative person, don't be afraid to spend a few days just researching old movies or reading books or doing something where you know you can find inspiration from. Okay, those were kind of like more negative things, I guess. Not really negative, because I mean there were lessons I learned, but like not super positive things on the surface, right? Feeling overwhelmed and not having a lot of time to myself that wasn't dictated by other things in my life. Like, that's not inherently like positive, I guess. Like, obviously the outcome was positive. I learned something, but something that actually happened that I really like, and kind of like my schedule that I thought would help you guys, or just like would help for me to talk about, is talking about how life is momentum based, as well as like this thing I realized, right? So before I was on a routine, and I've experienced this a lot of times, and you probably have experienced this as well. It's just like human nature. Like, you get up and you have no routine and you're just on your phone for a bit and you don't get anything done. And it's like that first hour of the day kind of dictates the rest of your day, right? I find that happens a lot. And you know, I had those days where I'd just wake up and I'd procrastinate and just lay in bed for an hour. And then I'd realize the day was basically wasted. Like, I couldn't get anything done. I couldn't feel good about myself in that day. And it's because it's momentum based, right? The first things you do in the morning will kind of dictate how your day goes. So this is kind of what I realized has helped me out a lot in that aspect, is like waking up super early and immediately getting a few things done. It doesn't have to be a lot of work. Like, this morning I got up early, I finished a few podcast clips and then like a TikTok, and then put some finishing touches on a YouTube video, right? This stuff didn't take too long because most of it was like short form content, right? And normally I don't do that much in the morning. So I got up super early, I got those done, and I was done with basically those things around 8 or 9 a.m., right? And honestly, the time doesn't matter. It just matters that's kind of the first thing you work on, right? And what I realized is the day feels good right now. Like, I feel good about this day. And I don't know if that's like my desire to be drawn to this like toxic productivity mindset, but genuinely I feel pretty good. And I realized that today, honestly, like, it wasn't my most productive day. Today I laid in bed and watched some stream clips and some YouTube videos. I probably watched like an hour of YouTube videos. I watched like part of a movie, and I kind of just laid in bed for a bit, didn't do too much. But the thing is, I started off the day by kind of doing those things and getting a few things out of the way. It doesn't have to be too crazy, but I got a few little tasks out of the way right when I got up, and that made a huge difference. So, I mean, if you're kind of struggling, you're having like back-to-back days of like getting up, staying on your phone for an hour and not really getting a lot done, then feeling bad about yourself, it's kind of a cycle. I would definitely try to just get up, get at least one thing done. It can be so minuscule. It doesn't have to be like a crazy thing. Just get one thing done, and it'll kind of set the tone for the rest of your day. So I don't know. That's just something that really like opened my eyes, because the fact of the matter is, you can wake up and you can get nothing done for the first hour, but then for the next like 3 hours, you work really hard and get so much done. And yeah, you might get more done than if you just woke up early, got a few things done and started the day. But the thing is, like, the mental victory is the most important thing in that situation, and getting up early, setting the tone of the day, taking control of it, that mental victory, I feel like it goes a long way. It makes it sustainable. Now, obviously everyone's different, but that's just like what I learned and what's helped me. Anyways, I'm going to transition into this segment now because we still have about 10 minutes left for the podcast. And it's been a while since I took any questions from you guys or just like went over topics you guys DM me. So I went through the DMs and I'm going to answer a few questions, or maybe just one if it's a long one. Literally doing this on the fly. So I'm like scrolling down, just seeing what people have to say. Here we go. We have one. Okay, first question. Hi. What are some seemingly small decisions that have drastically influenced your life? This is a good one. I never really think about this, but obviously it's like the small things that really have a big influence. I would say like one thing definitely is what I talked about earlier, which is kind of getting things done at the beginning of the day to set the mood and set the tone. That's been pretty big. And I would say the other small decision I've made that has kind of influenced my life that I can think of right now is more general, but it's definitely 100% had an impact on my life. And that is just sending people a DM. Okay, I know this sounds dumb, but let me explain. So many of my friends that I met this year are online friends. So many mentors and so many people that I look up to and have helped me in tons of ways, mentally, with the business. They've helped with my content, and it's all because I just sent a DM. And it's so weird to look back on, but like some of my best friends that I've met online, some of my best friends in general are people that I've met online through just sending a DM or just seeing something cool on TikTok or YouTube and just shooting someone a DM and just saying, hey, I really love that. My friend Ryan, you guys know Ryan, I basically just saw his YouTube video and sent him a DM, and I was like, dude, that was amazing. Like, I'd love to hop on a call, and we hopped on a call. And those small decisions I made to reach out, like, may not seem like that big of a deal now looking back on it, but they were big deals back then. It was kind of intimidating to send people messages. Like, my mentor right now was made because I sent a DM and decided to get on a call. And it's like taking those small steps and to kind of like reach out and show people that you're really putting in the effort. I think that's a pretty life-changing thing, because these are friends that I've made, for the rest of my life. Now, obviously, I understand that that's kind of like a cop-out answer because I had an audience, so that was obviously like a bias, so people would respond because I'd show up in their inbox higher and whatnot. But something that I've realized is like a lot of people, you would be surprised, unless they're like an A-list celebrity, like these influencers, you could call them, or micro-influencers, like they'll see your DMs. Like they do look through their DMs. At least I know I try to look through my DMs. I usually see everything. Obviously I can't see every single message, but like just reaching out, seeing if you can make a friend online, or if you're interested in art, like reaching out to an artist and just trying to be friends and gain some knowledge. Like those are things that you can do and you have access to now with like Instagram or TikTok or anything like that. And I feel like that's really honestly changed my life, because these are friends, like I said, that I'll have for the rest of my life. And even if we stop making videos, like there's a real friendship there. And that's been they've been a huge support system to me, honestly. Like I'll be completely honest here, like these friends I have met online through TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, they've been there, and they understand. So don't be too afraid to reach out to people, don't be too afraid to be like, hey, you're doing the same thing I'm doing, and why not be friends? And I think that's a really, really cool thing, and it doesn't take too much. So that's like a small thing that I've done that has changed my life. I think another thing might be like going to the gym consistently, but I feel like that's a big thing. Like it's a big commitment. I know it's like only 1 hour a day or 30 minutes a day, but getting started with the gym is pretty intimidating. So I feel like that would be not like a super small, minute decision there. I guess if I could say one other thing about like a small decision that has changed my life, or small things that have made my life better, another thing I would say is just like collecting memories and collecting things and like taking pieces of the places I visit. So right now I'm literally looking up above my like monitor, and I have this wall. I know you guys have probably seen it. I put it everywhere, but this wall of like disposable pictures and, these walls of like these Fujifilm Insta pictures. And on the right, I have all these pins I've collected from all over the world and everywhere I've traveled to. And I'm looking at my camera right now. I took paint markers, and I just kind of scribbled on them and drew on them. And I think like customizing things in your life, just taking like a paint pen and just like drawing on these disposable pictures, or like collecting pins or collecting spoons, or these little tiny things give me so much joy in my life. And obviously it's something that everyone can do. You can customize, the things in your life. You can take a journal and kind of make it your own, or make your own journals. You can take disposable pictures and hang them up. And learning how to kind of like customize and tailor things in my life has been so fun and gives me so much joy. Like looking up at all these pictures that I doodled on and all these pins I got from all these places, and just all these memories gives me so much happiness. So I would say like, think about ways to personalize or customize your life and your memories in a unique way to you. And you can find a lot of joy in that. There's so many fun, creative things that you can do, and you can start and just like, I don't know, it's just cool, right? Like I want to be the old grandpa that like has pins from his adventures as a kid and can tell a story from all these pictures. Like I could keep these pictures for like 100, I could keep these pictures till I'm like, 99 years old, and I can look back on them. And I think there's something like so special about having them in physical form. And that's why I decided to start collecting them and taking more disposable pictures. But it's things like that have made my life a lot better, I would say, because it makes me happy. I also got another DM from Lauren here, and she said she really like enjoyed the anxiety attack video. I feel like that's not the right word to use, but she really like resonated and felt comforted by the episode of the podcast called Anxiety Attack. You can scroll down, and that was taken in a really vulnerable moment where I was like having a panic attack, and I mean, that's something I do want to do in the future, and want to be very vulnerable. I've always said like this podcast is something I do just to be, self-therapy and just kind of record, not edit too much. I don't think about how well it's going to do. I don't think about how interesting I am. Like sometimes I get self-conscious, but, this is just for me, and it's just to document my life and where my head's at. I guess it's like a form of journaling. So I definitely want to do more of those in the future. I definitely don't want to have more panic attacks in the future, but I definitely want to like be able to be more vulnerable and open with you guys. And if you have more ideas for different types of podcasts I could do, and different ideas, and I don't know, I'm trying to like have more fun with these, because I feel like it's just me like talking about random stuff every single week. And of course, like you guys still say it's interesting, but I kind of want to like mix it up, and have different segments on. So just send me a DM at Weekly Voice Memos. But that's it for this week's episode. Nothing too crazy. Just wanted to talk to you guys and have an honest conversation. It was fun. And love you guys. And as always, keep it wholesome. I'll see you guys next week. Good luck this week. Hope everything goes well. Love you. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the podcast. Now, last night I put something up on my story asking you guys what your favorite parts of the pod were. At Weekly Voice Memo, shameless plug, go follow, go like every picture. Anyways, what was interesting is like a lot of you guys, majority of you guys said you like the rambling side of it, which is interesting because it's literally just me turning the mic on and talking. And I think most of this podcast is like really casual, and I did that on purpose because, I like to say that this is a form of therapy, self-therapy. I'm just rambling, talking my mind, and you guys apparently like it. Which is like, you guys have to understand, it's very weird for me to understand how you guys love the rambling part of this podcast, when for me it feels like I'm just talking nonsense and just being boring for like 30 minutes or 15 minutes of the day. But I mean, if you guys like it, I'm going to keep rambling on. So today's episode doesn't really have a specific topic. I love how through the evolution of this podcast, like we've gone from being like super organized to not organized, back to organized, and now we're back to not. Anyways, we're going to figure it out. But the thing that actually matters here is, ladies and gentlemen, woo! Last week, actually 2 weeks ago, we were celebrating 2 years of Keep It Wholesome. And today we are celebrating episode number 10, baby. That is 10 weeks of the podcast. Actually, I think I missed like a week once. Don't worry about that. 10 episodes of the podcast. Now, if you guys are OGs, you'll remember that in the first ever episode, I was like, I just want to get to 10 episodes. That's my goal. So I will now retire and the podcast is... No, I'm joking. I'm just happy that we got to this point. I think a lot of the goals I'm setting for myself these days are like uploading a video X amount of times or uploading a podcast once a week. And those are my goals. There's no number or monetary goal to this podcast. Like, I don't want to get X amount of plays, or I don't want to try to do this and make this amount of money. For the podcast, it's just literally me being consistent week in, week out. Is that how you say it? Do people say week in, week out? Anyways, it's just the consistency of it. I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of this community because we built this kind of like tiny subculture within Keep It Wholesome around this podcast. It's been really fun. Anyways, let's have a chat about what's been going on. I've been pretty busy, I won't lie, but I've been like mentally stable enough to handle it. And I think that's like an important thing to recognize is like when you're actually mentally stable enough to kind of push yourself a bit. So I'm getting up early. I know this sounds super try hard, but I'm liking it so far. I've only used it for 2 days, but and honestly, every routine, the thing about routines is like they will change so frequently. So I don't know if this will stick around, but you know how it goes. Like the first few days, you're like super motivated to stick to a schedule, and then you kind of like switch things up. But right now, I'm using this alarm app. It's called Alarmy. I feel like I'm gonna get judged for this heavily. It is something that, you know, it's not the most like exciting thing, but I got this alarm clock app, right? And it's like a super alarm for people that sleep in really easily, or people that want to get up early. So I've been trying to get up at like 5:30 to 6. I'm actually recording this podcast at 8 a.m. And it doesn't feel really toxic yet. Like, you know, I know a lot of you guys listening to this like go through like the toxic productivity cycles, right? And I do as well. But right now it doesn't feel toxic. Like I actually feel like energized and motivated. So we'll see how long that lasts. But for now, I'm feeling good about waking up pretty early, going to sleep pretty early. But anyways, like I was saying, I got this alarm clock app. And basically how it works is in order to turn off your alarm, you have to scan a QR code. And so I made my desktop wallpaper a QR code that I have to scan. So I have to get up, go over to my computer and scan the QR code on my wallpaper. And then that's how I like get to work. That sounds like really dystopian and kind of sad, but it's working for me. Okay, don't judge. I'm recording a podcast at 8 a.m. I actually feel like I'm getting stuff done. So yeah, that's one thing. Another thing is we're working on getting some products out, like doing some graphic design and trying to design Reasons to Smile 2.0 for Keep It Wholesome. And I'm also like recording a lot more content on TikTok. So, you know, I've been on TikTok for like 2 years and maybe like 2 or 3 months at this point. And I haven't really posted a lot recently. I feel like an old retired grandpa of TikTok, you know, like, which was cool because like I've talked to a lot of people and they're like, hey, like your videos inspired me to start, and they're doing really well now. I feel like really content. I feel like I went through the ups and downs of being a creator in terms of like being super caught up in the rat race of views to being in that hyper growth stage and like gaining a lot of followers and getting excited about that, or building this whole thing up. And now I'm kind of like mellowed out. Like I'm an old grandpa who just kind of like has seen the world and just, you know, wants to relax now. I'm not even 20 years old. What am I saying? But anyways, like within the creator like lifespan, I feel like I'm at that point. And like I'm working on YouTube projects, I'm working on the business. I feel a little more, I guess for lack of a better term, mature. But anyways, I've been posting a lot more on TikTok and like making a lot more videos. I'm excited about it. It's been really fun. And yeah, I just love making videos right now. I'm excited. Last night I was working on this Hawaii video, which should have been up already, but I'm spending a lot of time on it. And I wish there was like, I told a friend this earlier. I wish there was like a camera on me whenever I was like editing a video, like a long form video, because I was jumping up and down in my room just freaking out because it finally clicked, and those are the moments I live for, you know? So things have been going pretty swimmingly. One thing I do want to talk about is this feeling of FOMO. And for me, like at the beginning of my gap year, I talk about this so much. I bet you guys are tired of me talking about this. But at the beginning of my gap year, I felt a lot of FOMO because like I wasn't going back to college, whatnot. But I'm at the point now, and I noticed this like a few weeks ago. I would see videos of people at parties or like hanging out or doing their own thing, and like I wouldn't feel an ounce of FOMO anymore. And like I don't know how that happened. I'm gonna be honest, like it's been a long journey, but I'm so like happy for myself because I now fully understand and I'm confident with my own journey, and it's actually what I'd rather be doing is like, you know, going to sleep early or like working on these videos and working on the business. I sound like a total like Sigma male grind set entrepreneur right now. Like I don't need to party. I just wake up early. It's 5 a.m. with an alarm clock that I scan my desktop wallpaper with, and I just want to grind. You know, like yeah, okay, that sounded bad, but like for lack of a better like way to explain it, I feel more confident in myself, and like that I'm on my own journey. And I'm just so happy. And like, I swear I'm so proud of myself for this. Like, I'm just going to say it because I used to be that person that would have so much FOMO about anything when people were going out or hanging out or meeting new friends. And now I'm just so confident and complacent with my own path that's different from what other people are doing. But it's genuinely what I want to do and what I find the most happiness in. And I'm like so secure right now. Like I used to be really insecure about like wanting to make more friends or like be involved in the college like scene, and now I feel very very secure, and I feel like I've overcome that. And I guess like I wanted to talk about like let's just go into this. Let's dive into this. There's no general plan. I wrote nothing down for this podcast, but like how did I get to this point? Let's reverse engineer it real quick, cuz I'm sure like some people might be in that position that I was earlier in this year with like feeling a lot of FOMO and doing something different. And I guess like a few things is, first of all, at the beginning of the year, I left home and I met up with a lot of people that do the same thing I do. And I think that's like one of the most important things, like make videos online, like all these people I met in Montana. Great experience, amazing way to start off the gap year. And I think surrounding myself with these people has been pretty endearing. But I wouldn't say that's like the main way to get rid of this feeling, right? I mean, personally, lately I've been really self-isolating. Like I found it really difficult to like respond to texts and call people and keep in touch. But I do feel like the best friendships are the friendships where you don't have to talk to that person every day. You just talk to them like every once in a while, but when you actually hang out with them and spend time with them, it's like you never had that break between when you last saw them. All of that to say that I don't think meeting new people or surrounding yourself with people who are like-minded or who do the same thing as you is the only way you can get rid of that feeling of FOMO. I think a lot of it has to be found through really writing down and believing in what you're doing and creating stuff that you genuinely appreciate, and to find a little more fun in your work. I've been sitting here grinding away at making content when it should all be for fun, right? And I think I went through a few dark periods. I think every person who makes content online goes through this, where you just kind of get absorbed by the views and the velocity of it all and need to continuously post. And I think a big thing that helped me was taking like large breaks, like 2-week breaks at a time, not posting anything on TikTok for a month. And honestly, starting this podcast, doing more things that make me excited, like working on this video that I want to upload within the next week, like working on the podcast that makes me really excited. And I feel like because of that, I've been able to take less pressure on the TikToks. Like I feel less pressure on creating the thing that started this all. And maybe that's just like diversifying, you know, like maybe that's like you should try to diversify as much as possible. So maybe that's part of it. But I think also a lot of it comes down to what I realized about Keep It Wholesome. And I feel like I have a direction for the brand now. I feel like I was floating around. I had this audience. I had no idea what I was doing, making a few clothing releases, and I was kind of like just floating around. And I struggled so much with that. If you'd ask anyone within the last year that I talked to this about, like they would say that Simon's biggest struggle is trying to figure out what to post on Instagram, like trying to figure out how to re-energize the community, which I'm still working on. But I feel like I've come up with a nice system of like where I see Keep It Wholesome and the business side in the next like 3 to 4 years. And now that I have that, I can kind of just be like, okay, what steps do I have to take? And I'm really happy with what I've been working on. And I think a cool thing is that we've also brought on people to help, and now they're excited about like what the brand is going to become. And I really want to like outline where I see Keep It Wholesome let's do a thought experiment. Let me just talk to you guys about where I see the brand in like 3 to 4 years. So I think I thought about it for a while, and I want it to be a full-on, well-run creative business in the sense that we have people working on new collections, we have designers, we have people that are creating these short films for our releases, and to really put a lot of effort into that. And ultimately, I think it just boils down to the fact that I want to release a lot more products and do a lot more cool stuff in the community. I feel like I have more direction of where I see Keep It Wholesome in terms of like a business and like how I want to operate and how many releases I want to do and how I want to like release more products than less and work really hard on these new products. So, I mean, that's where I see myself. Obviously, there's more like details that I've written down, but it's more of a like understanding of where I want to see myself in a few years. And, you know, things are going to change. But at least having the knowledge of that and the understanding of what I want gives me a little more confidence and gives me a target to aim for. You know, like I probably won't hit that target. We'll probably land somewhere else, you know, like shoot for the stars, land on the moon or whatever entrepreneurial Sigma male grind set quote you want to put there. But I have direction. So I think in that sense, like the rest of my life has kind of become a lot more light. That's to say, you know how it is. Like I'll talk all this talk, and then 2 weeks from now I'll have like a breakdown, or like I'll be like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing anymore. But that's just like the life cycle of being a creative. So I mean, that's kind of life. That's what's going on. Something interesting that's happening is in March I'm actually going to Korea with my mom, and we're going to visit my mom's side of the family who lives in Korea. I haven't seen them for so long. I'm so excited for that. But also, I guess one thing I've been pretty anxious about is that like we have a shipment coming in for Sherpa blanket hoodies. We have a shipment coming in for Reasons to Smile, or not. What do we have coming in? We have a shipment coming in for our Nature Heals release, which is interesting because I haven't told you guys everything, but it's going to be a release. I guess like this is the first time I'm telling you guys. It's going to be a release where it's not just me. It's going to be a collaborative release between me and a friend. So I'm just going to leave it at that. Just be ready, guys, because the end of the month is going to be crazy. But anyways, like I'm not really sure when those shipments are coming in, and they need to come in by the end of the month. And obviously I'm leaving for Korea like literally March 1st. So it's like there is this tight window, and I'm kind of stressed about that. But there's not much I can do until I get the delivery date. So that's been one thing I've been stressed about. I was stressed about the Hawaii video for a while, but I just recently started to get into a groove with that video, and I'm really happy with how it's turning out. I'm excited for you guys to see this. I know I've been talking about it for like 3 weeks on the podcast, but like if you guys want to check it out, it might be up at Wholesome Simon on YouTube. And another thing I've been working on is like PR boxes and just doing more photo shoots and doing more videos for the releases. And also on Tuesday, an old professor of mine from my freshman year asked me to come speak to their class, which is like cool because I want the experience, but it's also like another thing I have to be stressed about. But I think that'll be fun. So overall, that's kind of like the things that are on my plate. I know I'm rambling, and this is kind of the point, like 15 minutes in, where I kind of get to the point where I'm like, okay, what I'm saying is boring. I don't get how people could enjoy this or you know, but at the end of the day, I make this podcast selfishly for myself, and it's basically just self-therapy. So I guess like whatever I want to put out there, I just will, and I won't really edit it.